What's in a name? Well, plenty, especially if that name harkens back to a time that falls way outside the current madness of the politically correct. That's the criticism leveled at Donald Trump by Chris Hayes of MSNBC, all because Trump cited the success of a concerted deportation process during the presidency of Dwight David Eisenhower.
So Donald Trump officially endorsing Eisenhower's 1954 deportation program, but not by name, perhaps because the program was called Operation Wetback, named after a disparaging term for Mexicans who arrived via the Rio Grande.
So let me get this straight. The politically correct crowd believes enforcing our immigration laws is the wrong thing to do, primarily because what is now regarded as an ethnic slur was the name given a similar operation over 60 years ago. To back up his point of view, Chris Hayes called on the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. I want you to listen closely to what he said.
I was quite surprised to hear those words out of Donald Trump's mouth. I guess I shouldn't have been. Maybe we shouldn't have been at all, any of us, because he's been talking about, for the last few months, deporting between 11 and 12 million people. But to hear him talk about a deportation force and refer essentially to Operation Wetback under the Eisenhower administration should remind folks who care about being reasonable on the issue of immigration, just how impractical, how inhumane, and really how dangerous his ideas are.
Well, isn't that special? There's a committed leftist telling us that if you want to be reasonable, you better not enforce the law, because to do so would be impractical, inhumane, and dangerous. Really? Seems to me far more dangerous to have what we have right now. Porous borders where anyone and everyone can come across with very little difficulty. That is what I have spent my time warning you about, both in and out of office, ever since 9/11. Border security is national security. Besides, both sides can play this name game. Do we really want to take advice from a guy who happens to have the last name Castro? Isn't Castro the last name of the infamous Cuban dictator? I point this out not because I believe it, but just to illustrate how absurd it is. Almost as absurd as rejecting the notion of enforcing our immigration laws, all because Ike's program in the 50s had a name that is now considered politically incorrect. And that's the way I see it. Now for the way you see it. Your comments via social media. First up, it's Robert writing in about illegal immigration, and some comments made by John Sununu and John Kasich. He writes, JD, I disagree with John Sununu and John Kasich that you can't remove 11 million illegals. Fact is, it's not hard, and most people watching Newsmax today know that. Simply enforce the law. Now to the presidential race. Bobby checking in. He says this about Dr. Ben Carson. I like Dr. Ben Carson. Seems like a nice man. So was Jimmy Carter. But that didn't qualify the peanut farmer to be a strong president. Neither does being a brilliant brain surgeon qualify Dr. Carson to be president of the United States. We'd love to hear your comments and receive them from you. And here's the way you send them. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. So, we're looking forward to hearing from you in the days ahead, and we'll be looking for you tomorrow night at 8 Eastern. Till then, stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.